What's up? What's up again, Push Army? This is Ben Alpha, and welcome back to Push Chronicles, where we'll talk about life, growth, and everything in between. Today, I want to ask you something very real, and I don't just want to talk to you, I want to talk with you. Who did you lose, and who did you become after you lost that person? Now, it is a very personal question that is very deep. Who did you lose and what did you become when you lost that person? Sometimes the most powerful version of ourselves is the one that comes from the painful goodbyes. So that is why I don't want to talk to you just the way I normally talk to you. I want to talk with you at this point. So there is someone I lost. There is something that I lost, and it changed how I see a lot of things in this world. I'll tell you that story, but before we do that, I want to tell you what grief really does. Now, I want you to understand this. Grief isn't always a loud cry. Sometimes it is you sitting down and realizing that the person that sits across from you is no longer there. You look to your side, you look everywhere, and you realize that you are alone. And sometimes it is even waking up and you don't realize yourself anymore. Now, I've had a lot of experience where I've lost a lot of people and I've lost a lot of things about myself. And one thing about this time is it wasn't just the person that I lost, it was who I used to be when I was around them. And one thing about this time is you don't always know when it is happening. The shift, it is slow, but it is an internal shift that when it happens, you tend to look and everything seems so odd. That silence, that confusing, striking silence, that silence became the space where my true voice, my true self began to rise. Now, let me be real with you. Years ago, I've lost someone who was very important to me. Aside from my dad's story, yes, which I've told you guys a lot of times, I've lost friends and people I was in a relationship with in one way or another. At this point, we were not perfect, but the connection, that deep, striking connection that I felt with them, it was something that I really, really cherished. And when when I lost them from my life, I did not just feel abandoned, I felt unfinished. At this point, I started questioning my words. I replayed conversations, and I started trying to know where it all went wrong. I was very angry. I was very sad. I was out of myself because I didn't really want that connection to die off because of one thing or another. I was numb, but then I was quiet. But something else started happening in that silence. You know, I started listening to my voice again. Like I started hearing myself again. When people tend to all be around you, when you tend to, get satisfaction from the energy of other people, except from yourself, your own voice deepens down. You are only prone to whatever they tell you, and that makes you out of yourself. And when all this stuff was happening, I realized that that version of me that would blend, that would shrink, that would tolerate less than I deserved, it started to fade. Those voices that was making me become what other people want me to become, that voice started to fade. All those things started to fade. I became someone new. I became a better person, not bitter, but bold, not cold, but I was clear. I was clear to myself. I was clear about what I want. And at this point, I realized that the absence of these people has taught me boundaries. It has really taught me boundaries. I now know what I want and what I do not want. Their silence at those points, it made me value communication. I am now somebody who has a very high demand for effective communication. And when they pushed me away and when all this was happening, I started drawing close to God. It sounded somehow, but yeah, this is just the reality of it. And at this point, I was coming close to God. I was starting to understand myself really, much better. And I started getting close to myself. And I was thinking to myself, maybe, just maybe, losing these people, it was not, this just wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning and the becoming of me. I started getting myself at those points. I know you are watching this and maybe your loss it looks different. It's not the same thing as my loss. It might be a friend, it might be a job, it might be a dream, It might be anything around. It might be your old self. It must not necessarily be a person. It must be a thing. It must be a habit that you were accustomed to, that you like so much. It might be drawing back from sex, drawing back from a lot of things. It might be you taking a break from a lot of things that concerns you. And at this point, you will realize that you are finally being born into something new, and the version of yourself that you believed that would go a certain way, as you start losing it, you start recognizing yourself. And now, at this point where you are starting to lose all those things and you lost all those things will now become heavy. Things will now become so confusing that you are not sure what is next. Oh, but I need you to hear this. Not all losses leaves you with pain. Repeat after me. Not all losses leaves you with pain. And also, not all losses leads you or leaves you to less. I hope you got that. So if you realize this, if you get this, you understand that sometimes those losses, it leads you and it strips you off from who you were never meant to be. It takes that which you were calling something, which was not really something, but it's something that is bringing you down. It strips it away of you and brings you to the level so you can finally become who you were meant to be. So, with all that being said, here is your push. Stop trying to go back. Within all those times that I was going through all these things, at some point I was trying to go back. I was going, not even trying to go back, I was going back on a lot of things that was actually pulling me down, that is pulling me down, that is bringing back the old self that I was trying to do away with. That old self that I was losing, that I needed to lose for me to become who I was meant to be. I was trying to go back to it and bringing it back. And yeah, you are also going to experience those kind of stuff at some point where the loss of whatever it is, it's looking better than the part where you have to do all the work. And believe me, it's not a good turn. Me deciding to put away a lot of stuff at this point to allow those things die for a new me to be born. It's hard, it's painful, I won't lie, but then it is actually the best decision, because at some point I'm realizing that I don't even need this the way I think I do need it. So stop trying to go back to the version of what you think you know, or who you think you know, or who you think you should be. Meanwhile, that is not you. The pain, the silence, the grief, the loneliness, it is not pain, it is not punishment. It's pain, but it is not punishment, it is preparation. And you are preparing yourself to the next level, you're preparing yourself to the better person that you want to be. And at that point where you get to become that better person, you will even thank yourself the more. So what am I trying to say? You are becoming something better if you take this role, and you are not alone in it. I am inside of it with you. Now let me ask you again. Who did you lose, and what did you become when you lost that person? Who did you lose? I don't go say lose. Who did you lose, and who did you become when you lost that person? Maybe you have not become yet. So who are you becoming after you have lost that person? I would like you to drop it for me in the comments, or you use the link in the description and drop it for me. Let us know who you lost and who you are becoming, or who you have become. It might be in the past, it might be now. Tell us. You can use it. We will use it, and to also tell other people. If this episode found you in the ways that is so deep, I want you to leave a like, share, subscribe, and make sure to share, and follow us all through, even on all social media platforms. Thank you very much. This has been Alpha, and this is Push Chronicles, where we talk about life, growth, and everything in between. So I'm going to see you on Friday on another episode. Please make a decision today. Throughout this week, use this week to make a decision of who am I going to lose, and who do I want to become when I lose this person, this part of me. Just know that there's a part of you for you to lose, and believe me, If you take that road, it is going to be the best thing that you are doing or you have done for yourself. Thank you very much. I'm going to see you again on Friday. You are not broken, remember. You are becoming. Ciao.